If love were a question asked every single day, in joy and in chaos, in silence and in storms, my answer would never change. 1,000 times, without hesitation, I would still choose you. I remember the first time I truly saw you, not just glanced, not just noticed, but really saw you. It was one of those moments that seems ordinary at first, a quiet afternoon, laughter floating in the air, the sunlight catching your hair in a way that made everything around you fade. At that instant, something shifted inside me, a gentle, unstoppable pull, as if the universe whispered, "Here is where your heart has been waiting to land." I didn't understand it fully then, and perhaps I couldn't have named it as love, but I knew, deep in the marrow of my bones, that life had become infinitely richer because of your presence. The way your smile moved across your face, the soft way your eyes lit up when you spoke of things that mattered to you, it was magnetic. I found myself listening, not just to your words, but to the rhythm of your thoughts, the cadence of your dreams. And in that listening, I realized something extraordinary, that I could imagine a world with you in every corner of it, in every moment, and it would feel complete. There was a certainty in my heart, a quiet conviction that no matter what paths life might take, no matter how many forks in the road might appear, I would find my way back to you. Love often sneaks in quietly, in laughter shared over silly things, in a touch that lingers a heartbeat too long, in a glance that seems to speak volumes without a single word. And yet, there are rare instances, like that first moment, when it bursts into your awareness with a clarity that leaves you breathless. I felt that clarity as I watched you walk by, a feeling so profound it was both exhilarating and terrifying. It was the beginning of a choice, one that I would make again and again, a choice that seemed to ripple through every part of me, shaping who I was becoming. It wasn't about perfection, nor about grand gestures or cinematic declarations, it was about you, simply and irrevocably. I realized that life, with all its uncertainties, suddenly felt like it had a center, a gravity that pulled me toward you, and the thought that I could spend even a day without knowing that you were a part of it felt impossible. In that moment, I understood love as a decision, a quiet but unshakable promise, that if given 1,000 chances, if offered 1,000 paths, my heart would choose you every single time. Love is rarely a single grand event. It doesn't always arrive with fireworks or cinematic declarations. Most often, it grows quietly, almost imperceptibly, through the small, tender moments that stitch two lives together. I remember the way you would laugh at the little jokes I didn't even think were funny, and how that laughter would linger in the air long after the words had faded. There was a warmth in those moments, a subtle magic, that made the ordinary feel extraordinary. Each glance, each shared secret, each gentle touch became a thread in a tapestry of love that I didn't even know I was weaving until it had already wrapped around my heart. There were mornings when the sunlight fell softly through the window, and we would sit together, still half asleep, sharing silence that somehow felt comforting instead of empty. I realized in those mornings that love didn't always need words, it thrived in the quiet understanding, in the feeling of knowing someone so completely that their presence alone could calm every storm inside you. There were nights when we talked for hours about dreams, fears, and everything in between, and each conversation left a mark, a tiny imprint that quietly strengthened the bond between us. It was in these moments that I saw the beauty of love, not as something loud or dramatic, but as a steady current flowing beneath the surface of everyday life. Even the simplest gestures mattered. The way you reached for my hand when I was nervous, the way you remembered something I had mentioned days ago, the way you made an ordinary walk feel like an adventure, all of it showed me that love grows not just in the big moments, but in the little ones we often overlook. It grows in patience, in attentiveness, in noticing the things that make the other person feel seen, understood, and cherished. And with each passing day, I realized that love was not a static feeling, but a living, breathing thing that grew stronger the more we nurtured it together. Love through these small moments became a rhythm, a heartbeat that pulsed in tandem with mine. I began to notice how deeply I relied on your presence to color my days, to make even the mundane sparkle. It was in the way you shared your world with me, and how I was invited into it not just as a companion, but as someone whose existence mattered to you in ways that went beyond words. Each moment, no matter how seemingly trivial, carried the weight of devotion, and I found myself falling, again and again, not through grand gestures, but through the quiet intimacy of shared life. Love, as beautiful as it is, isn't always easy. It asks for courage, patience, and the willingness to stand together even when the world feels heavy or the path ahead uncertain. There were moments when life tested us, small disagreements that seemed larger in the heat of emotion, days when circumstances pulled us in different directions, and nights when distance or doubt made the heart ache. But even in those moments, I realized that love is not about avoiding challenges, it is about choosing each other every single time, no matter the difficulty. It is the conscious decision to see past flaws, to embrace imperfection, and to hold on when letting go would have been the simpler path. I remember one particular evening when everything felt overwhelming, when the noise of life outside our bubble threatened to drown the connection we had built. We argued, not out of malice, but because we cared deeply enough to want things to be perfect. And yet, even in that tension, there was an unspoken truth: no disagreement could undo the bond between us. I looked at you, really looked, and I saw someone who mattered more than any frustration, someone whose presence made the world brighter, whose laughter and touch could heal any sorrow. And in that instant, I made the choice again, silently and wholeheartedly, to stand with you, to listen, to forgive, and to love despite the challenges. Choosing each other became a ritual, a daily reaffirmation that no matter the obstacles, our hearts belonged together. It wasn't always dramatic. Often it was in the quiet decisions, the patience in listening when words stumbled, the understanding when moods clashed, the compromise when pride wanted to take over. Love became a practice, an art of constantly choosing to prioritize each other over ego, over fear, over uncertainty. It was in those choices, repeated endlessly, that I discovered the depth of what it truly means to commit. Even when life threw unexpected trials, when schedules, responsibilities, or distance tried to pull us apart, I found that the strength of love lies in its ability to persist through adversity. It is not passive, but active, demanding attention and intention, and rewarding us with a connection that grows richer, deeper, and more resilient with each obstacle overcome. Every challenge we faced together became proof that our love was not fleeting or fragile, but something worth protecting, something worth choosing again and again, without hesitation, without doubt. Love is not only about passion, laughter, and shared dreams, it is also about understanding the depths of another's soul, and finding the grace to forgive when mistakes are made. I learned early on that love isn't perfect, that we are flawed beings carrying our own fears, insecurities, and histories. And yet, love thrives when we choose to see each other with compassion, when we pause to understand before we judge, and when we open our hearts to forgiveness even in moments of hurt. Every relationship has its trials, and ours was no exception, but it was in those trials that I discovered the transformative power of empathy. I remember the moments when our disagreements left a sting, when words spoken in haste threatened to create distance. I could feel frustration rising, pride nudging me toward stubbornness, yet I also felt the pull of love, a reminder that you were more important than any fleeting irritation. In those moments, I forced myself to breathe, to listen, and to truly hear you, not just your words but the emotions beneath them. Understanding became the bridge over the chasm of conflict. It was realizing that your anger wasn't against me, but a reflection of your worries, your pain, your desire for connection. And in choosing to meet that with patience instead of retaliation, I found that love deepened, grew stronger, and became more resilient than I could have imagined. Forgiveness, I realized, is not simply saying, "It's okay," but it is a conscious act of releasing resentment, of choosing to protect the bond over being right. It is a gentle surrender that allows love to heal wounds rather than let them fester. I have watched us stumble, have watched us hurt each other unintentionally, and yet each time, the act of forgiving has felt like a renewal, a reaffirmation that the love we share is worth preserving, worth nurturing, and worth cherishing above any momentary pain. In the quiet moments after a misunderstanding, when we held each other and allowed our hearts to reconnect, I understood that love's true strength lies in its ability to forgive, to understand, and to move forward with renewed trust. It is a delicate dance, one that requires humility, patience, and a willingness to put the other's heart above your own ego. Through understanding and forgiveness, I learned that love is not fragile, it is enduring, capable of weathering storms, and infinitely more beautiful because it is chosen not just in joy, but in the willingness to heal and grow together. When I think about love, I often imagine it not just as a fleeting moment, but as a lifetime of choices, every day, every hour, every heartbeat. I imagine waking up beside you for decades, seeing the same face in the morning light and still feeling that rush of joy, that certainty that I would choose you again, and again, without hesitation. It is a vision filled with ordinary routines made extraordinary simply because they are shared with you, The quiet breakfasts, the long walks, the laughter over inside jokes, and the comfort of holding hands when the world feels uncertain. Each of these moments, small and seemingly mundane, becomes sacred because they are ours, because they are the threads that weave a lifetime together. I picture us growing older side by side, learning the curves and corners of each other's hearts in ways that only time can teach. I imagine your hair streaked with silver, your eyes still sparkling with the same warmth that captivated me the first time I truly saw you. And in that imagining, I realize that love is not static, it evolves, deepens, and transforms, yet remains rooted in the same essential choice, to be with each other, no matter what. It is a promise to celebrate joys together, to weather sorrows together, and to find beauty even in the quiet, imperfect, and challenging moments of life. I envision the shared dreams we will nurture, the adventures we will take, and the simple pleasures we will savor, knowing that what truly matters is not the grandeur of life's events, but the certainty that we are navigating them side by side. A lifetime of choosing each other is not about the absence of hardship, it is about the willingness to face every challenge hand in hand, to prioritize connection over pride, and to find meaning in the small acts of care, attention, and devotion that love requires. In this vision, I also imagine our hearts communicating without words, understanding each other's moods, knowing when a gentle touch, a soft word, or a shared silence can say more than any sentence ever could. Love becomes a living, breathing force, one that grows richer with time, strengthened by shared memories, and sustained by the unwavering choice to keep choosing each other every single day. It is a choice made in countless little ways. In the patience we offer, in the forgiveness we grant, in the laughter we share, and in the quiet certainty that, above all else, our hearts belong together.